All right, hey, welcome back, guys. This is Seth with 10-8 Real Estate Team. Today, I have my friend Jared from Alliance Title and Escrow. We get a lot of questions about the whole title and escrow process, so I brought him in. He's an expert in the field, and he can answer some of these questions for us. So, Jared, the number one question we get, I guess, is what is the whole title and escrow process? If you could kind of just give us the overview of that.
Sure. In the state of Idaho, when you have a purchase or transfer of property, you're required to carry title insurance, and that is the basics of what we do. The nuts and bolts is title and escrow. Interestingly enough, they are separate entities within our office. So we have a title department and we have an escrow department. Our title department, what they do and what they're responsible for is when they get a purchase and sale, they're going to start right off the bat, going back all the way as far back as that property's been recorded with the county, and they're going to start pulling that chain of command. So they're going to pull all the way up to the present time of what has occurred, who are the different owners, what easements have been bought or sold, or anything like that has to do with the property. If there's a problem on title, they're going to put that on the title commitment. It's going to be part of the commitment that they send out that says, hey, we commit that this can be a legal transfer of property and you will be insured that it is.
What kind of problems come up occasionally?
Yeah, that's a good question. A lot of times you'll have lack of access. You'll have easement issues that come through properties. The basics of it is you want to make sure that you're transferring the property to that new owner and that they're going to actually own everything. And somebody can't come back and say, hey, well, I own that easement back in 1987 and I still own that. Well, we're going to make sure that's cleared up before it's transferred.
Okay. Are they actually pulling physical copies of these things, or is this all online? How's that work?
It is online with the county. So really it's public. Anybody can go in there and grab it. With us, we have what's called a title plant that we established. We actually have the oldest title plant in the state of Idaho, Alliance Title and Escrow does. But we have all the records from, I believe it's in the 1920s that we have started pulling from Kootenai County to present, which includes all the property here in town. And that is actually physical through our system. They can pull that information with the county and through our title plant and let you know exactly what has occurred and what has happened with that piece of property to date.
And I'm assuming the people that read these must be very good at it, because I've looked at some title reports and it's like, whoa, that's a lot.
Yeah. So the title reports, there's a lot of legal jargon. Right? Yeah. So there is a lot of legal stuff on there, but that's where the title officers come in. The title department comes in. That's what they do. So they do a great job of explaining issues. If there's a cloud on title, which is a problem, we call it a cloud. We just want to get that corrected before you get to the closing table, or before you proceed with the transaction. Hey, there's liens on this, or hey, there's a lack of access, or hey, there's it could be a numerous amount of things, but let's get that cleared up before we proceed with the lender and with everything else that's going to take place on the title side.
And then title insurance, so that protects the buyer, and the seller from anything that might be on title.
Yeah.
Is that correct?
Yeah, so basically it's just ensuring that it's a proper transfer of ownership.
Okay.
And that what they're selling and the transfer of ownership is actually going to be theirs. And nobody can come back and say, no, that's actually mine.
Okay.
In essence.
And then on the escrow side, so that's a whole separate department.
Yep. So that's the title side. On the escrow side, the escrow department, they handle the money, right? So they're working with the lender. They are creating the closing disclosure, so the actual physical disclosure that you sign at the table when you transfer the property. So that's what they're balancing that out, and they're working with the lender, grabbing the wires, getting the documents from the lender to create that closing disclosure. And they're working hand in hand with the agents and the customers, getting the information they need to create that balanced closing disclosure. So when it's signed at the table, it's a clear transfer of ownership. And that's who you see at the closing table too, is the escrow officer, because they will sit down with the paperwork, with your customers, with the agent, and sign.
Okay. So when we send in, one of our buyers send in an earnest money deposit, it goes to the escrow department. They hold on to that. And then they do all the interacting with the lender as well. So it's kind of, I mean, are they the ones that tie everything together ultimately?
They do. They ultimately tie everything together, get it down to a nice balance sheet. That's that closing disclosure. So that everything's on there from what they owed before, from what the proceeds they're going to get, from what they need to bring to the table to sign, to everything has to be balanced out and agreed upon, and then the signatures happen.
They also handle scheduling of signing, because I know we've had out-of-state buyers where a notary goes to them and does that. That's all coordinated through escrow.
Escrow department will coordinate mobile notaries if needed, but they can also coordinate the signing appointments.
Okay.
And they'll ask you, they'll leave it up to the agent too. Would you like to call and schedule the appointment? Would you like us to call and schedule the appointment? It's clearly up to the agent and the customers.
Okay.
But yeah, they will set that up.
That's a lot.
Yeah, and so they're two totally separate departments, but in one office. So that's great because we can communicate with each other. In some states, it's not always like that. Like Washington, for instance, they may do escrow at a real estate attorney's office and title somewhere completely different. But in Idaho, it's nice. At Alliance, it's nice to have title and escrow all under one roof, so we can communicate and get stuff done that way.
Gotcha. And if there's like a cash deal, obviously it's pretty much the same, except you just don't have the lender involved.
Yeah,
All the money's still handled through.
All the money's still held by escrow. Those go a lot quicker,
Yeah.
so we can usually close those in a couple days.
Okay.
We're not waiting on lenders. We're not waiting on documents. We're not waiting on an appraisal or anything like that. So it just goes pretty quick.
Are people required to use a title and escrow company? If someone did like a for sale by owner or something like that?
Yeah.
I don't know why you would, but.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, it's there's some instances to where you wouldn't need title insurance, but I mean, in the state of Idaho, it's pretty much required that you do carry title insurance. And if you don't, you're putting yourself at a pretty high risk.
It's definitely safer on the escrow side too, because you have that third party that's handling all of the money.
That's a good point.
Right.
We are definitely a third party.
Yeah.
So we're basically instruction followers. So we're going to follow instructions of that purchase and sale in escrow, right? And that's kind of the timeline how it goes is the agent sends in a purchase and sale, and then title gets to work on it right away. So title starts to create that title commitment that commits that says we will insure this property transfer to another entity. While they're doing that, escrow is working as well, working with the lender, starting to get the monies in line and starting to get that closing disclosure set up.
Interesting. It's all the behind the scenes stuff.
It's a lot of behind the scenes stuff.
It's super important, but a buyer or seller just might not even see any of it.
They don't see a lot of it, and that's good. That's the way we want it.
Yeah.
If they have questions, we're more than happy to meet with them, and they can come in and talk to us or call us on the phone and we'll talk to them. But a lot of times it's behind the scenes and we just, get to work on it. And if there's any problems, we will notify pretty quick and let you guys know. But normally, we're problem solvers. We can get it done and move on that way.
Nice.
And I mean, and then another piece of the puzzle is we have some tools and stuff that we offer agents and lenders and stuff to help their business too.
Right. Yeah.
So
that's a whole other side.
It's a whole other side. Yeah, we have that to where we have sales folks out there trying to help and provide value to agents and get them help them with farming and marketing and get them busy that way. So it's a whole other portion of it.
Man, that was awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
Answered all my questions. I appreciate it.
Good. Yeah. Would just like to say thank you to Seth for having me, and would also like to remind the folks out there, if you do have an opportunity and you're in need of a title and escrow company, to please choose Alliance Title and Escrow. We do appreciate any opportunities, and we do really love working with the customers we get to.
Well, thank you, Jared. You guys Alliance Title has always done a great job for us, so we appreciate you. Always on top of things and does great value for our customers, and that's the most important thing. So thank you again for joining us on this video. Please like and subscribe for our weekly videos about all things North Idaho. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.